I'm going to draw your attention to these numbers up here. 175 million, 120 million, 247, 205 billion. Do you have any idea what those figures represent? Anyone want to take a guess? Staying connected is big business. 247 emails, 247 billion emails are sent daily. 205 billion text messages sent daily. 175 million tweet, I don't even know what that is, tweet. And 120 million people Facebook daily. Ladies, that just tells you that our desire to be connected is at the core of who we are. Because when we're not connected, what are we? We feel alone. There's nothing worse in this life to go through this life unseen, unsought, uncertain, or to just be unknown. Does that fascinate you or just me?
Amazing.
If we aren't connected, then we're alone. It is the greatest documented fear that we have as human beings, the fear of being alone. Public speaking is, I think, number 2. But regardless of our connectedness, these provide like a substitute feeling of connectedness. Do you agree with that? And first I have to say, for those of you who are part of those statistics, there's nothing against any of that connectedness. I just want to reinforce to you tonight that that desire was put deep within you by your Creator. And that is why we strive for it, we grasp for it. But I will tell you personally, I don't care who sends me a text, I don't care who sends me an email, and all the affirmations you post on my Facebook page. But when you stand in front of me and tell me that you have come to know the Lord because I said He loves you no matter what, and you say that to my face and you speak that into my heart, those numbers mean nothing. So it is it's an authentic substitute. But don't ever misunderstand that it is exactly that, a substitute. C.S. Lewis says our desires are not too strong. Our wills are too weak that we accept that over what it is that God truly intended for us to have. I said there's nothing worse than being alone, unsought, unseen, uncertain. There's people who are living in relationships that are alone. There's people who you could be in a crowd of 1,000 people and be like nothing but alone. And how about a relationship that you judge has got it all going on? But if you look deep within somebody's soul, what could be worse than being alone? Because life is about love. And love is a decision. Intimacy is about the guarantee that someone's going to be with us, no matter what. No matter what. There is no greater guarantee than that. The desire to be with us. He died to be with us. The greatest display of love and intimacy, right here. Tonight we're going to talk about how we get it, how we avoid it, what it is and what it isn't. We're going to recognize the fact that we can live without it, but we cannot thrive without it. Intimacy is allowing another to know and to be known, to cherish and to be cherished, to reveal and to be revealed. Sex isn't intimacy. How many people thought sex when they heard the talk? Because I surveyed a couple guys and they spelled intimacy S-E-X. And one guy said a lot of back rubs. But if I asked women, we would spell it T-A-L-K. And a lot of it, yes or not? That's what my man said. A lot of talking. Are we still talking? It's like we're always talking. Our desire for intimacy, as I said, comes right from our Creator. He created us and He said it was good. But then He said a little bit later, it is not good for man, woman, people, to be alone. It's not good. It's the first time He said it wasn't good. You know why? Because it's not good. We're not supposed to do this alone. Ever. So He made a suitable partner. That's me to you. That's you to her. That's us to our man. That's us to our kids. It's us to each other. And the first original feelings of the two people that were good and created in the image of God are clearly represented on this mannequin. What is she? Naked! But how many of you could stand up here today and tell me that you are naked without shame? Does that mean nobody, or are you just not participating? Because you will be asked to leave the classroom if you're not participating. Because those were the original feelings. Naked without shame. But here's the deal. They were created naked without shame. And then when the first sin took place, anybody remember what they did? It's funny you should mention it.
Oh my gosh.
Those of you who are here for the first time, do you see now I don't like to talk to boys and only girls? So tonight we're going to talk about the 7 levels of intimacy that gets us to that place that God intended, where we stand before one another, willingly revealing, willingly sharing, willingly listening to and cherishing one another, as if we were Christ. That's what it was intended to be. Feelings! The reason that it's tough is because we don't get it. Because feelings are about naming them, being able to express them, being aware of them, being able to express them at the right time, to the right place, to the right person. And how many of you are married or know a man that doesn't even know about a feeling, never mind express them? You don't have to raise your hand for that. That's a private matter. But let's admit, us women are not very good at the right time, right place, right side of the equation. Don't I just want to tell you all the things that somebody does wrong? You can do nothing about that to help me. But feelings, you get to this place where you can express your feelings. What were the first feelings of the original children of God? No shame. No shame. Because when we're feeling shame is when we start covering up. When we start hiding. And here's the thing. Okay, so our common unchanging purpose is to desire the highest and best good for one another. And when we don't do that, we start hiding. We start doubting. See, because when they were in the garden, they were naked and without shame. But then when the thing went bad, they didn't say, hey, buddy, I need your help. And P.S., God only told Adam not to eat the fruit. He said nothing to Eve. And he did not give her the message. But that's a whole other theology class. I'll save it. They're so bad at giving the messages. But it started out with the doubting. Like, did he really say that? And then they got a little discouraged. And then they acted on it. That happened after they didn't get to the bottom of their feelings. Like, if Eve had the Kimochi doll, for example, she could have said, I'm feeling a like I'm coveting. Like I want a little something, something. I feel like God's holding out and Adam could come alongside her and say, baby, no. But that's not the way it worked. I love that. Okay, so fears, faults, and failures. This is huge. This is our 6th level of intimacy. You get to this place, and you are going places in your relationships. Fear. False evidence appearing real. We all got them. It's part of our core desire. That's what they did. God said, where are you? Why are you hiding? And they said, I was afraid. And then he said to them, baby, I never told you to be afraid. Those are not feelings that I placed within you. Because when it comes to fear or shame or guilt, that is not from our Creator. I asked my kids what their fears were. I was blown away by some of the things they said. Fears drive us away from intimacy. Would you understand why? Because we're afraid. Scripture says, be not afraid, don't worry, at least 365 times. That's 1 time for every day. Because it started out that was our natural feeling. We're afraid. It kills intimacy, just like in the garden. That whole thing could have come different, would have went down different if she said, I'm afraid, and he said, me too. Because that's what we need to hear. Me too. Okay, so what can we do about it if we have this common unchanging purpose to be the best we can be, get each other to heaven? Don't eat the stupid apple. Because it wasn't the apple on the tree, it was the pear on the ground, the pear of beauties. P-A-I-R, get it? That was a funny, you're supposed to laugh. I'm not breaking a sweat if you're not laughing. So I want to know what happened. What happened to make you afraid? My son Carter said, my greatest fear is that I'm not going to go to heaven. That tells me almost more than his letters tell me. That's a whole other dialogue that we get to be engaged in if that's what his greatest fear is. Chandler said, losing one of our family members. And see, then I get to say, but baby, if that happens, God's going to do something good. It's got to be for a greater good, because that's just what he does. No one told me that. So when you say to someone, what are you afraid of? And then you can say, but God says not to be afraid. You're helping someone. Not that you can't be afraid, but what if? What if? What if I die? What if you die? What if I get a terminal diagnosis? What if I lose my job? What if I lose my spouse? What if I lose my kid? What if? Then him. Then him. That's always the answer to the what if. Because this does 2 things. It's a big fat plus sign. It gives us the strength to endure it, or it delivers us immediately from it. That's just what he did. So why do we be afraid? It's all because of them again, those 2. Not the 2 mannequins, Adam and Eve, in case you're not following. There will be a test. So you got to know your fear. Do you know your own fears? Do you ever say, like, I'm afraid of that? I used to be afraid of everything. I'm not afraid as much. So it's a journey and not a destination. But I want to know the fears of the people that I'm in a significant relationship with. God wants to know your fears because he wants to tell you that you don't have to be afraid. And here's the thing is, I feel like if I tell you I'm afraid, you're not going to say me too. You might not love me. You might judge me. But if we get to a place where I want to stand before you and say, like, I'm really afraid of this. Like I called someone today and I said, I'm really afraid nobody's going to come. She said, you're just a dumbass. I'm like, I know. I said, I'm really sorry I called. And she said, it's all good. But I was afraid of that today. It's kind of a dumb fear considering my kid thinks he's going to hell. But, and, you know, it's always about me, so let's go back to that. That's our good Catholic faith. Hello? I was like, dude, we got to get you another denomination just long enough to believe that you're going to heaven. That whole waiting room thing, you get there.